I'm bored of the Jon Jones conversation. I've had enough. We either need to fight or I need to move on to something else. Jones comes out today.
Hold on, he is moving on to something else.
No, it's not scheduled yet.
Jones comes out.
Go ahead, Dave.
No, Jones comes out today and says, I've got people in the chat calling me a duck. Meanwhile, I'm living my absolute best life. I don't know if it's considered ducking when you're living good. I don't think it works like that. Not really giving any clarity in the situation, but also just kind of implying that, I'm doing my thing. Like, he's not thinking about a fight. So anyway, you guys' thoughts here?
I think Tom should take a fight as soon as possible.
I thought he should move on.
No, it was talked about that they were going to do basically defend the interim title until John's ready to
get
fight.
Rid of that damn thing.
Yeah, I honestly believe they should just fight. He should just fight and move on. Like, and when Jon wants to fight, if he does want to fight, that's great. Cool. Sign me up. Look, people are so afraid of losing that big money fight. I don't know if he's going to make more money to fight Jon Jones. He probably will, but with the way the pay-per-views are going, you're not going to make that much more money. Pay-per-views suck. Like they're not anywhere near what they used to be. And Jon was never a big needle mover anyways when it came to pay-per-views. Let's just talk about that. He's broke 1 million views, pay-per-view buys or whatever it was, one time. And it was the second DC fight. That's it. I
thought that one was like 800,000.
No, I think it was the second one. It was the one that broke it. Over 1 million. He's never had over 1 million any other time. Any other time. And so, and look, that's not a dig at him. Just the fact that if you're waiting for that, if Tom Aspinall was waiting to be like, that's the money fight. That's a legacy fight. Yes. I wouldn't call it a money fight. Don't expect to get more than 500,000 pay-per-view buys for that fight. I don't think you're going to get more than that.
Yeah, well,
not in this day and age.
It's apparent, no matter what, I love Jon's thing is I got people saying that they call me a duck. It's because you're ducking him. Well, you're doing everything. No, stop. It's the truth because you're doing everything but being serious about. And when I say Jon tried to do a whole thing with DC, coaching almost like a tough show in Russia. Okay, I think, but it wasn't in Russia. It was a Russian show, but it was going to be done in Thailand. All right. Okay, great. But
can you imagine Jon and DC in Thailand?
Oh, good God.
Good God.
Just the thought of Jon Jones in Thailand. But hey,
he's there now, Jon.
I know exactly. I'm just waiting for the report. Jon Jones kills someone. Oh, never mind. Because it's one of those you take a look, man, and it's like, Jon, it gets to a point, Josh, you got to say, you got to shit or get off the pot. Okay. You are holding on to, you have fought twice as a heavyweight. Okay. Twice. His whole thing is I take another year. Okay. You talk about a guy that, has not fought that many times for a career. He's 28 0-1. Is it 29 now? It's somewhere right in there. But it's like he's not that guy that's always looking to get back in the cage and stuff. And he's in that position where I think he looks at Aspinall and believes. I know he believes he can beat him. It's not that he's afraid of him, but I want everything to be the way I want it to be. I want it to be at the time that I want it to be. I want it to be for the money I want it to be. I want it to be at a time that makes sense for me, and I don't give a shit about for him at the time. Just everything. Oh, I understand it. Okay. But you're holding up the division. And, eventually it's got to be, you got to shit or get off the pot.
Yeah, I would agree, but that's the UFC's job to either push him in that direction. Hey, sign the contract, or we got to move on.
Yeah.
And it sucks because it doesn't suck, but simply put, you can't let someone like Jon hold up the division because he's been doing this for a while now. He did it for 3 years with the light heavyweight, title and this and that. Then he did it again. Now he's doing it again right now with the heavyweight. He's in this. He's made a lot of money. He's done very good for himself. He's a fantastic fighter.
Incredible.
All those things you can pat him on the back and say. But the bottom line is right now, he's one of those guys that's acting like a spoiled little brat. Like, hey, let me let me just hold this up and I'll fight him when I want and this and that. But John, I went back and watched the Stipe fight.
Yeah.
I thought he had moments in the fight that were good. There was
He
moments where Stipe had him literally turning his back and running away.
Yeah, but John was never in trouble in that fight. You know that. I know that.
But my point is that Tom Aspinall is faster, probably hits harder, has a little bit more tools and not 48 years old like Stipe was.
Well, this is my point. He's had 2 fights, since 2020. Okay, 2 fights. The Cyril Gane fight, which went for 1 round, and the Stipe fight that went for 3. So a total of 4 rounds of fighting in 4 years. This is the problem. It's like
Tom hasn't been very active either because he's been sitting around waiting for this damn fight. So that's where my concern comes in. Is I think to myself, Tom, just fight, man. Like all the guys in your weight class, that you have no one to really be concerned about. Sure, they can all clip you and knock you out. That happens no matter who you fight in the heavyweight division. It doesn't matter who you fight. But none of these guys, even if they do, like Curtis Blades, even if he was to take you down and try to control you and this and that, like you'll beat it. I know they fought John twice. Okay, I'm simply saying though, but like Curtis Blades is the only one I could think of that would wrestle. The rest of them are not wrestling. Almeida maybe, might want to try to wrestle him down. But on the ground, I think that Tom's so athletic, he'd be enough to stuff the takedowns as well as nullify his grappling. And on the feet is fucking night and day.
See, my whole thing and what I'm talking about with John, there's 2 guys in the heavyweight division that people are interested in. And one of them is losing a lot of that interest. And that's not Aspinall. There's a lot of people that, don't give a damn about Jon Jones fighting. They don't care because they think that, he's caused problems, he's cheated and all these things. And so they don't care. And that's fine. You can have that, opinion if you want. But Aspinall is the guy that everyone talks about. Jon Jones is the champion. But other than that, what's there?
You want my honest opinion? No one cares about Jon Jones anymore.
I agree with you. That's all I hear. People talking to me all the time. It's I don't even care when he fights. Don't want to see him. Okay. But he is the best fighter I've ever seen. You realize he's that good.
No, what you're doing is you're living in the past. He was the best fighter you've ever seen. He's not the same guy anymore.
I agree with that.
And that goes with everybody. It doesn't matter who you are.
Exactly.
When you age, when you get older, you're not the best fighter anymore.
I agree with that.
It's hard to say about Jon Jones because he's still the champ in the heavyweight division. But based off of his last 2 performances, sure, he looked good. He got finishes, but he did it with a straight striker, took him down, dominated him, and then he did it with a 48-year-old Stipe.
48, huh? All the way up to 48.
Stipe hadn't fought in like 3 or 4 years.
That's true.
So I'm not really quick to be like, oh yeah, you're like, of course you're the double champ, but I'm not ready to pat him on the back. I want to see him fight Tom Aspinall. I want to see him fight other heavyweights.
Yeah.
But I'm not mad if he doesn't. I'm cool with like if you want to ride off into the wind.
If he wants to ride off in the sunset, that's
go right ahead.
Absolutely. That's his prerogative.
But the way we think about it, I think other fans feel the same way. If he was to say, hey, I'm hanging it up, I'm not going to fight Tom, people will be like, oh, you ducked him. I don't think he's ducking him. He just wants a certain amount of money. And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
And I don't think John's afraid of anybody. To me, he's not afraid of it. It's not like I would like people to stop with this notion that guys like John or guys like DC and guys that they're afraid of someone like Islam being afraid of someone. No, they're not afraid. Like they just want to make sure that everything is right for them. It's their career. Fighting is a very selfish sport. It's always been a very selfish sport. So John doing what he's doing, I understand I get what he's doing. He's trying to get as much money out of him as he can. He's trying to make Tom Aspinall sit on the bench long, frustrate him a little bit. John's great at mental games. He did it with DC. He does it with everybody he's ever fought. The guys that have chirped at him, he's found ways to get in their head. He's found ways to do it. And so John's great at that. But like I said, people don't care anymore.
That is the problem.
They have moved on from Jon Jones.
Let me ask you this. Do you honestly think, and whatever the UFC thinks, but if the UFC in the end says, you know what, we're done, we're going to take the title, and even if they released him, do you think anyone care?
No,
I don't either. I think the PFL would try for a Francis Ngannou Jon Jones fight, but I don't think anyone would care about that fight.
They don't have the money to pay him anymore.
That's true.
They let Patchy Mix go. Like they released Patchy Mix, or well, they had an amicable split. We'll talk about that in a second. But they don't have the money. They can't pay Jon Jones.
Yeah.
You know, if they want to have one fight, then they can, and then all the other fighters would have to release. But yeah, I don't think anyone. But the thing is, there's nowhere else for him to go. So we can go ahead and release these guys because there's nowhere else for them to go. And I've said this for the last 3 weeks, for almost a month now.
There's
These
not.
fighters got to start walking on eggshells, because if they don't like you, or you give them a hard time, or you start fussing with them, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
We'll give you your release. Have a good time. See you later. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. See if someone pays you what we're paying you. Good luck. Have you seen what the LFA pays? And I love the LFA promotion.
Oh,
Have
I know,
you
I
seen
know
what a lot
exactly
of
what they pay.
Have you seen what these other promotions pay?
Yeah.
Good luck, guys. Good luck.
Yeah.
It's like throwbacks to when I first started fighting, making 500 and 500, making 700 and 700. Like, that's what you're getting.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Look, if you're doing a title fight in the LFA, you're doing 2,500.
Yeah. Title
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
And that's no knock on the LFA. They have a
No.
great business model, and that's what
their
helped
business
build-
model. That's their whole thing, is to help build fighters to get up to the
Absolutely.
UFC.
Absolutely. Good. And I'm glad those promotions are around, because that's what these fighters need. This episode is brought to you by BetUS. Make sure you guys YouTube 150 for the promo code. Also, Element, use the link in the descriptions down below. Any product you buy from there, they will send you a bonus package of product if you use our link down below. Element's amazing, man. I love it. And I want to say thank you, man. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support us.